We can expect accumulating snow or even blowing snow at times. Mix of sleet and light freezing rain sometimes accompany these winter weather systems as well. Be prepared for slippery road conditions and give yourself extra time if traveling. As with all winter weather events, if you're traveling, always keep a winter survival kit with you. A winter weather advisory begins at noon today and continues until midnight tonight. Stay tuned for additional updates. I'm meteorologist Derek Height.
This is a station editorial. I'm Randall J. Miller, station president. This editorial is all about spending you and I's tax dollars in Springfield and Washington. In Springfield, Governor J.B. Pritzker got reelected in 2022, claiming that the state was flush with cash, had a rainy day fund, and that happy times were here again. This is despite pausing until after the election another motor fuel tax hike, making this tax the second highest in the country after California. Well, happy times are no longer here again in Springfield. The state is using federal COVID money to make its budget look flush with cash, knowing that the money would be gone, but it got him reelected. Today, while Pritzker continues to pass out money for things like municipal parks and the like, he's warned state agencies cuts are coming as the state is $3 billion with a B dollars in the red. This winter's state budget address should be a good one. And in Washington, President-elect Trump is trying to defy the long-entrenched government establishment with his so-called Department of Government Efficiency. President Eisenhower warned as he was leaving office in 1961 of what he called the military-industrial complex controlling the government. 64 years later, it's as though the federal government is so big that it's pretty much controlling things no matter who is president. Let's hope the Dodge Agency, as it's called, can get federal spending under control, as 43 cents of every dollar they spend is borrowed. When it comes down to it, it's always about the money because it helps them get reelected, whether they're in Springfield or Washington. That's our opinion. We welcome yours. Our email address is editorial@randyradio.com. That's editorial@randyradio.com. I'm Randall J. Miller.
Covenant Animal Clinic in Clinton now has a new online store for your pet's medicine and supplies. Hi, this is Dr. Sue Sturr inviting you to check out our new online store at covenantanimalclinicil.com or just click on our icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Serve Pro of Piatt-DeWitt counties for fire and water restoration, reconstruction, and now duct cleaning to keep your air healthy. Find out how they can help you by clicking their icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
News time is 8 minutes after 7 o'clock on this Wednesday. Top of the morning from the newsroom of Regional Radio and DeWittDailyNews.com. I'm Seth Lawrence with this expanded 7 o'clock newscast brought to you by Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton, your Silverado headquarters. Here's what we have coming up for you in news on this Wednesday. Warner Hospital CEO Paul Skowron is reflecting on 10 years in Clinton. That story comes up in news to kick us off here for this morning. The Farmer City Council debated its noise ordinance and the Farmer City Raceway earlier this week. We hear from City Administrator Taylor Baxter coming up this morning. And in February, we are highlighting first responders in Central Illinois and made our first stop on the WHOW morning show on Tuesday in Monticello. We hear from Monticello Police Chief Rob Bruss in news on this Wednesday. Also coming up, stay with us in sports. Last night, the Clinton Maroons opened the Central Illinois Conference Tournament with a victory over Central A&M in Shelbyville. You heard the action right here on WHOW last night. A recap of the Maroons' victory in sports this morning and a second half rally propelled Rantoul past Monticello in Illini Prairie Conference boys basketball action from action you heard on WEZC on Tuesday. Those stories and more in sports this morning. We stream to Facebook and YouTube. It's brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Last week, Werner Hospital CEO Paul Skowron surpassed 10 years in Clinton as the head of the city-owned facility. As he reflects on the new heights he's taken Werner Hospital to in the last 10 years, he credited the hospital board's vision nearly 25 years ago to lay the groundwork through the expansion of the family medicine building.
Let me give credit to the board members from 25 years ago that put up the family medicine building. I believe Dr. Wood, the eye doctor that's passed away, was the chairman of the board at the time. Having the family medicine was behind the emergency room in the basement for years. That's amazing. And so it is so fortuitous that they had vision and built that separate building that over time the family practice, which supports the entire hospital and the community, has been able to flourish and grow into it. And it is almost at capacity now. We have one new doctor coming in August, and that will fill out all of the exam rooms and all the services. That's a way of looking at it. It took 25 years to fully utilize that building. So that was really important.
Upon arriving in Clinton in 2015, the hospital was in the midst of a very tumultuous time. It had been through several leadership transitions and did not have a clear vision. Skowron brought a vision to create stability and profitability.
Then you get to 2015 when I arrived. There was the discussion, as you recall. I almost think you've been here 10 years talking about this with me. There was that discussion of, should we build a new hospital? The hospital was losing money at the time. It had already borrowed money for some improvements that were necessary, real functional improvements, electrical, heating, and air conditioning, all that kind of stuff. And so I looked at the foundation of the hospital. It is really a solid building. And decided that if we can, over time, if we can start making money, getting profitable, which we did, we can start investing in different sections over time. And sure enough, over those 10 years, we renovated the lab. We renovated radiology, put in a new CT machine, DEXA scan machine, upgraded the software for radiology. We improved the look of the entrance for the admitting area so that what used to be the chapel is now the waiting area. And then a new pharmacy, took the pharmacy out of the basement, put it upstairs.
A vision that took several years to finally become a reality was the renovation of the emergency room. Just this past year, the hospital's vision for a modern emergency room was finally complete.
We started the discussions about the emergency room. That took many years to design that properly. That has really jettisoned the ability of the hospital to service patients in all of DeWitt County, not just the immediate Clinton area. So emergency EMS services are much more confident now to be bringing patients, as they are, with our volume 25 to 30% higher than it was 6 to 9 months ago. It's an ongoing thing now. And so what we closed was the 2 ICU beds. That's where the pharmacy is now. And so we did that because I looked at the ICU and said 4 to 5 patients a year. Why is that? Because we're not a large enough hospital to really properly take care of ICU patients. They always got transferred out of the emergency room and went to the larger hospital. Sure. So let's use that footprint and let's use it better and get the small pharmacy in the basement out of there and put it right next to the nurses up in the medical surgical unit. Okay. And therefore, they were able to upgrade their equipment, their pharmaceutical equipment, for the best technology of mixing prescriptions and all that stuff. And it's worked out wonderfully that they're right next to each other, and the pharmacy is able to better service medical surgical. But they're also continuously servicing the emergency room also. So we expanded the pharmacy.
Clinton residents now have so many more options for care in town, and Skowron says that's where the motto, compassionate care close to home, came from.
One of the other things, besides the physical upgrades, has been our partnerships with other hospitals, both large and small, with other rural hospitals. Our partnership with Gibson Area Hospital. And that's one of the reasons we worked on expanding the specialty clinic, because they have brought in some wonderful specialists, rheumatologists, ENT, and Dr. Keller in orthopedics, Dr. Glickstein, our ENT, and all of these specialists that have proven to be great service that our primary care, our family medicine doctors can refer patients to. And so we said, we need to expand that. And so that was why we said, let's make the specialty clinic more accessible for patients so they don't have to walk through the hospital. And so that's the culmination of our partnership, specifically with Gibson Area Hospital, but with the larger hospitals also, with Carle Hospital, with St. Joe Hospital in Bloomington, with Decatur Memorial, all these hospitals that work with us on quickly being able to transfer patients in the emergency room after we stabilize them to the larger hospitals to get the best care and the best recovery.
Skowron quickly got involved in the many organizations in Clinton when he arrived and credits that involvement and the relationships he was able to foster as a big reason the hospital was able to quickly have the turnaround it did. Still to come on this Wednesday, we're highlighting first responders in the month of February on the WHOW Morning Show, and our first stop yesterday was in Monticello to visit with the Monticello Police Department. A recap of that visit comes up in news here in just a moment. A driver of the local economy is going to be exempt from an ordinance after action from the Farmer City Council Monday night. City Manager Taylor Baxter explains the Farmer City Council debated exempting the Farmer City Raceway from its noise ordinance earlier this week.
It's interesting because, as you know, Farmer City, we have the Raceway here. At times, it goes late into the night. It's not every night, but some of those later nights, we've had some discussions internally, it sounds like, with the council and the public wondering, okay, do we need to look at the racetrack and figure out if that noise ordinance needs to be adjusted? So it was really just a conversation last night, but it sounded like from the council and the mayor, they're going to exclude the Raceway from that noise ordinance. So they understand that there's public concern about, these loud cars at midnight, and they rarely go to midnight, but it's really just, how do we work on it together where this is such an economic driver for our community, but then also respecting the people that are just trying to go to bed at a decent time too.
The council debated ideas of having a noise cutoff time or limiting the nights. Noise would be allowed beyond a certain time. However, Baxter notes it's rare the noise carries on really late into the night, and it would be hard to enforce if something were to slow the races during a given event.
No, it was brought up just how many of those really go that late, because and the mayor brought up a good point is, okay, let's say you have a couple of accidents that are completely uncontrollable. Okay, you're pushing that back later, but you can't just end the race. You have a certain amount of laps that you have to do, and the payouts are determined on that. So it's more than just, okay, yeah, we're cutting it off at 11:30. There's a lot that goes into it. So again, finding that balance, I think, is important, but also the council understands that it's not that often. And if you get the wind going north, you don't hear it at all. But if Mother Nature's kind of shifting and there's wind coming south,
Wednesday,
that's when you hear it. So there's a lot of variables in place, but it sounds like the Raceway and the fairgrounds are going to be exempt from that noise ordinance.
The Farmer City Raceway is a destination for race fans and even popular names in racing at all levels. News time is 19 minutes after 7 o'clock on this Wednesday. Coming up in sports, after 7:30 this morning, Clinton opened the high school boys basketball Central Illinois Conference Tournament with a win Tuesday in Shelbyville over Central A&M. You heard that game right here on WHOW. A recap of last night's action comes up at 7:33. Rantoul rallied from an 11-point deficit in the first half to beat Monticello in action you heard last night on WEZC. A recap of the Sages loss in Rantoul last night in sports still this morning. A 708 mental health board is coming to Piatt County, and a local police department is hoping to take advantage of the resource. On the WHOW Morning Show Tuesday, Monticello Police Chief Rob Bross told Regional Radio the Piatt County Mental Health Center is a great tool when working with people with addiction or mental health issues.
We work with the Mental Health Center because, again, what we've seen, especially in the state of Illinois, with the Safety Act and everything else, we are able to detain some people for some of these drug offenses. However, Tony Kirkman and Tish SHUM, I believe, with our ROSC Council have been great outlets. Sometimes we deal with people that are having a bad day. They're dealing with addiction and having a lot of different things going on. We've actually, as opposed to arresting them, putting them in jail, just having them kicked back, said, listen, if we take you to mental health, will you talk to somebody? Mm-hmm. And more times than not, they're willing to do that. And Tony and Tia will take time out of their day, or Dan out there, they will take time out of their day to help us out with that. There's no better way to get someone help than right there when they need it, as opposed to waiting a day, waiting 2 days, waiting a week. So we like that kind of outreach with mental health. And, they have some day programs that we've kind of done some training with them on. But that's another one that I really like to use because, again, with the addiction that we've seen throughout the county, throughout East Central Illinois, throughout the state, we just aren't, arresting them doesn't do any good for the smaller amounts. You have 20 pounds of it. Yeah, you're going to jail. But, somebody that has just a small amount, if we can get them that addiction help right here and now, that's what I'd rather do.
The new 708 Mental Health Board has not had a big impact on the police department yet because it's still in its early stages. However, Chief Bross indicates this opens up a whole new set of possibilities when it comes to mental health resources.
Really not a whole heck of a lot yet. It's, the 708 board, I think, that got approved. I think, are they still waiting on money? But that opens up so many doors for us, as opposed to not having that option and then just going off of kind of your back pocket, praying for the best. I was really excited when that passed, just because I see what could go down the tunnel. And I like that they're able to help us with that. So, it just opens up so many doors for us with that 708 board. And gives mental health resources that maybe they weren't able to do before, but now they can with those resources.
Chief Bross is excited for what's to come from the 708 Mental Health Board in Piatt County. Employers across the country struggle to find and keep staff, and law enforcement is not exempt. Monticello Police Chief Rob Bross told Regional Radio on the WHOW Morning Show Tuesday they will be welcoming new recruits to the department very soon.
We have one in field training now who will finish up here in about 3.5 weeks. And then we have one in the academy, I believe on week 4 right now, doing well. I think they've started scenarios either this week. I believe they started this week in some arrest control tactics. And then we have one that will start the academy in May. We have the same issues everyone else does, and it takes a specific person, to kind of, everyone has their idea of what law enforcement is until you actually get into it. It's like, oh, well, it's not just, running with your tie over your shoulder and, catching bad guys. That's a part of it. But what they don't tell you is the 2 hours of paperwork that, catching the bad guy takes, and then, arresting them and, all the other fun stuff that comes afterward. Processing evidence. That was some things that some of our officers had, we just don't send that to the state. No, we can process some of our own evidence. And it's just teaching some of those finer points to kind of fine tune some of the skills that they started in the academy, and then we just develop them during field training.
Chief Bross explains the process of becoming a police officer can be long and rigorous, from mental evaluations to the physical fitness tests. He recommends anyone interested in the field begin preparing early.
So, it all starts with a testing process that you put your application in. That comes to us. Then the Police and Fire Commission will set up a test date, which is just a written test, 100 questions. They set the standard on that. They do interviews, and then they will give me a list just and rank 1 through 10 or whatever the case may be. We will hire off of that list, and then we will schedule the physical. There's a psychological exam. And then before you really delve into the academy, we get an academy spot at Police Training Institute in Champaign, McCletsy in Decatur, Celia, up north. So once we get a spot there, you do have to pass a physical test, which consists of a sit and reach, 1 minute sit up, bench press, and then a run, a 1.5 mile run. You don't want to just, never run a day in your life and think you're going to do a 1.5 miles in 14 minutes. I ran cross country in high school, and that was pushing it for me. And, I was much younger then too. But yeah, if we tell people, if this is something you want to do, kind of start now. stay in shape, kind of work on it a little bit. And then that way, once you do take that power test, you're good to go. And then you don't have to worry about it in the academy. It's, you start, on, day 1 or 2, and that's, you don't have to worry about it again.
According to Chief Bross, the Monticello is a great place to be a police officer. With what he calls a pro-police community and board, he finds the police are well supported.
It's a great career. It really is. Something new every day. So we really try to, get people that want to make the investment, to, make sure it's, again, it's a good, 20 to 35 year career. We are in a very pro police community. More police officers live here, I think, per capita than a lot of other towns. We have everyone from Champaign-Urbana, state police, county, local. This is a very pro-police community, and that helps quite a bit, as opposed to some other places to where maybe they don't have the community support, they don't have the board support. Never once have I come up with an idea and someone shot it down. Said, nope, we aren't doing that just because you're the police. But no, this community is great for police. So that's one of our kind of recruiting lines is, you're in a very pro-police community, a very pro-police board. So that benefits us with getting some of the better recruits in the area.
Keep it to Regional Radio to hear more from Chief Bross and on staying safe during the Super Bowl weekend. 26 minutes after 7 o'clock on this Wednesday. More to come on the morning show.
Baum Chevrolet Buick offers full transportation options while giving you peace of mind. This is Scott Baum from Baum Chevrolet Buick here in Clinton. This is what we do every day. We listen to you, give you options for routine maintenance, major mechanical problems, or collision repairs with a staff that's knowledgeable to find the best option for you. Baum Chevrolet Buick, your full-service dealer. See us at BaumChevyBuick.com right from the start.
News time, 27 minutes after 7 o'clock on this Wednesday. Again, I'm Seth Lawrence with the folks today for this expanded local newscast. A mix of rain and freezing rain for parts of central Illinois today and tonight, then this weekend. But measurable snow may be in the picture next week, says DTN Ag meteorologist John Baronic.
But, after the system goes by this weekend, we do build in some colder air, not only through Illinois, but through most of the U.S., really, and it pushes the storm track farther south. We're still going to be in an active pattern, though, next week, so we're going to get a couple of systems to move through. It looks like one comes through early next week, kind of on Tuesday into Wednesday. That's kind of the time frame right now. That could change, obviously, but it does look to be cold enough to be mostly snow across the entire state. We'll have to see, what kind of amounts are possible out of that, but it does look like you might have to get your shovels out. And then, there's another system that goes by probably late next week or weekend. Same idea, storm track to the south. So we might have to be dealing with some more snow there at the end of the week as well.
So far this winter, more snow has fallen in central and southern Illinois than in northern Illinois. 28 minutes after 7 o'clock on this Wednesday. Time now for a look at this morning's obituaries. 55-year-old Michael T. Captain of Clinton passed away January 28th at his family residence in Clinton. Memorial services for 55-year-old Michael T. Captain will be held at a later date. Calvert Funeral Home of Clinton assisted the family with cremation rites. Online condolences can be made to calvertmemorial.com. 89-year-old Gail John Dunlap, formerly of Rockford of Clinton, passed away on February 1st at Manor Court in Clinton. No services for 89-year-old Gail John Dunlap are planned at this time. The family entrusted Calvert Funeral Home of Clinton with cremation rites. Online condolences can be made at calvertmemorial.com. Coming up on 7:30 on this Wednesday, coverage of news brought to you by Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton, your Silverado headquarters. We stream to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Local sports follows network news and network sports. Clinton boys opened the Central Illinois Conference high school tournament last night with a win over Central A&M in Shelbyville. From action you heard here on WHOW. That in sports next.
With SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason. President Trump continuing to shake things up on the world stage. Now he proposes U.S. control of the Gaza Strip, relocating Palestinians to neighboring countries who have expressed concern for their welfare, and then redeveloping the land with homes for Palestinians. An impressive number of federal workers, some 20,000 so far, are taking the president up on his offer of a buyout. Police in the Columbus suburb of New Albany, Ohio, looking for the gunman who opened fire last night at a cosmetics warehouse. One person was killed, 5 other people wounded. Kentucky lawmakers wrapping up their work on reducing the state's individual income tax rate. They're delivering on a top Republican priority on the 5th day of this year's legislative session in Kentucky. Stock futures in the red this morning. Dow futures are down 90 points. The NASDAQ futures off 163. More details, srnnews.com.
45 Bible.
With SRN Sports, I'm George Williams. A busy night in sports last night, including the news that President Trump is heading to see the Super Bowl this weekend. Let's start with the NBA, where the 2 top teams in the East went head-to-head. The Celtics defeating the Cavaliers 112-105. Jason Tatum leading Boston with 22 points. Derek White adding 20. By 2, the 76ers beat the Mavericks 118-116. Also by 2, Nets over the Rockets 99-97. It was the Knicks over the Raptors. Bulls beat the Heat in a rout. The Lakers down the Clippers 122-97, and the Trailblazers also routed the Pacers. NHL play: a shutout Bruins over the Wild 3-0. Jets shut the Hurricanes out 3-0. Canucks shut the Avalanche out 3-0. In overtime, Oilers over the Blues 3-2 by the same score. Sabres over the Blue Jackets. Devils beat the Penguins 3-2. Utah over the Flyers 3-2. Canadians over the Sharks. Lightning beat the Senators. Maple Leafs, Capitals, Islanders, Ducks, and Red Wings also your NHL winners. This is SRN Sports. Well, New Orleans is ready for the Super Bowl, but is the Super Bowl ready for the president?
President Trump will attend the Super Bowl on Sunday, becoming the first ever sitting president to attend the big game. This year's game will see the Kansas City Chiefs take on the Philadelphia Eagles at the Caesar Superdome in New Orleans. The Chiefs are attempting to become the first team to win 3 straight Super Bowls.
That's correspondent Tasia Stevens. Busy night in NCAA men's top 25 basketball. A number of the top-ranked teams were on the floor, including top-ranked Auburn defeating Oklahoma 98-70. 5th-ranked Houston over Oklahoma State. 6th-ranked Florida downs Vanderbilt. It was number 7 Purdue over Iowa 90-81 in an upset by 3 points. UCLA over 9th-ranked Michigan State 63-61, and 12th-ranked St. John's trips up 11th-ranked Marquette 70-64. 13th-ranked Texas Tech over Baylor in an upset. 25th-ranked Ole Miss downs number 4 Kentucky 98-84. Arizona and Wisconsin also your winners. This is SRN Sports.
Time now for a look at sports. I'm Seth Lawrence with this report. In a game heard on WHOW and all its digital platforms, the Clinton Maroons defeated the Central A&M Raiders 50-33 in Central Illinois Conference Boys High School Basketball Tournament action Tuesday night in Shelbyville. The Maroons were led by Keaton Graves, 21 points, 12 of which came in the fourth quarter. Colton Walker had 10 points, and Jaden Bell chipped in with 7. 6'4" sophomore Briggs White was the serve pro of Piatt-DeWitt County's player of the game. While only scoring 2 points, he used his limited minutes to make a big impact on the defensive end and rebounding for the Maroons. The Raiders were led by Ace Spinner, who scored 15 points, going 5 of 15 from beyond the arc. Rhett McLean had 13. With the win, the Maroons improved to 14-10 and advanced to the next round of the Central Illinois Conference Tournament. The Raiders fall to 9-14. The Maroons will take on Tuscola Wednesday at 6 in Shelbyville. Tune into Maroon Sports broadcasts again when they take on Warrensburg-Latham in high school boys basketball action on February 11th. Tip-off time is 7:30. In a game heard on WEZC and online at DeWittDailyNews.com, Rantoul rallied from an 11-point first-half deficit to beat Monticello 58-47 in Illini Prairie Conference high school boys basketball action Tuesday night in Rantoul. DJ Davis put the Eagles on his back, scoring 9 of his 23 in the second quarter to help Rantoul cut into the deficit going into the half, and scored 11 points in the third quarter, helping Rantoul storm in front for good after a much-needed strong start. Monticello faded in the second half. The Sages shot just 7 of 30 in the second half. Gatsby Grant led Monticello with 11. 7 came in the first quarter, while Tyler Blythe chipped in with 10. 7 in the second quarter. Blythe played much better after struggling the last few games. His bounce-back performance earned him the Serve Pro of Piatt-DeWitt County's Player of the Game. The Eagles go to 12-10 overall and 3-2 in the Illini Prairie Conference. Monticello drops to 11-11 overall and 2-3 in the Illini Prairie Conference. Monticello is off until Saturday when they travel to Williamsville for the Illini Prairie Sangamo Conference shootout against Porta AC Central at 1:30. Hear the action on 95.9 FM WEZC and online at DeWittDailyNews.com. Cabron Lee returned to the Maroa-Forsyth lineup Tuesday night and provided a spark as the Trojans rolled to an easy 80-40 win over Illini Central in Sangamo Conference High School boys basketball action Tuesday in Mason City. Lee scored 14 points in his return to the lineup. The Trojans have been injury-riddled all season, with injuries to start the year that stem from the high school football state championship run, then midseason injuries to leading scorers Lee and Kobe Lane. Lane is out the rest of the season with a knee injury, while Lee broke his wrist in December in practice. Brady Doss led the Trojans with 19 points, who led 40-16 at the half. Kenny Morris added 14 points, while Mitch Williams chipped in with 8 points. Maroa-Forsyth goes to 9-8 overall and picks up its first Sangamo win to improve to 1-3 in league play. The Trojans host Athens Friday night at 7:30. Damian Good scored 29 points and led a trio of Argenta-Oreana scorers in double figures as the Bombers rolled to a 66-52 victory over Sullivan Tuesday night in Lincoln Prairie Conference High School boys basketball action in Sullivan. The Bombers used a big second quarter to pull away. They outscored the Redskins 20-9 and led 34-22 at the break. Carter Logue scored 15 points for Argenta-Oreana, while Tyson Oros chipped in with 13. Sullivan falls to 9-12 overall and 4-2 in the Lincoln Prairie Conference. Argenta-Oreana is 11-10 and 5-1 in the Lincoln Prairie. The Bombers host Decatur St. Teresa tonight. Okaw Valley made easy work of Blue Ridge 73-39 Tuesday night in Lincoln Prairie Conference High School boys basketball action in Okaw Valley. Wesley Clark scored 23 points, but it wasn't enough for the Knights, who fell behind early, 22-8 after the first quarter. Leading scorer Isaac Price was held to just 8 points for Blue Ridge. The Knights are 9-14 overall and 2-5 in the Lincoln Prairie Conference. They return to action Friday night in Arcola. Get sports anytime from your computer or mobile device at DeWittDailyNews.com.
This is staff meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki with your regional radio forecast. A winter weather advisory continues until 9 p.m. tonight. Freezing rain possible at times today, otherwise cloudy skies expected. Highs level off around 33. East winds 10 to 15 miles per hour. Cloudy again tonight, mixed precipitation likely changing to all rain 31. Hear weather twice an hour or online anytime at DeWittDailyNews.com. Right now, 29.
This is the RFD Livestock Report. I'm DeLoss Yonke from the Country Financial Studio with Evan Schutte. He and his dad Cliff in Clinton County is Schutte Signature Beef. Evan and his wife Natalie hosted me last week at Popeye's Chop House, a wonderful steakhouse. It's on a county road that connects Highland with Breeze, south of I-70. The Schuttes have a 20-ounce cowboy ribeye. Limited supplies only, not even on the menu, although it doesn't need to be on the menu to be a very popular item.
The demand is so high for it, we are not having them put it on our local special board because it's going to be sold out too fast. When people know that we get phone calls, text messages, people wanting to order beef that would taste so good as it is better in a way than what they've normally had here. Not discounting anything that they've done here, but when you're supporting local and it's prime beef, people really enjoy it and they'll pay a little extra for that premium.
So they buy a steak here, they eat a steak here, and they say, like me, it's one of the best they've ever had. So now they call you and they want quarters and halves.
Yeah, want quarters, halves, and wholes, or we'll get to the next guy who's like, can I buy that bone-in ribeye? Can I get the tomahawk? They'll buy in bulk. They're like, I just got to have more of those ribeyes. That's been good. So we get it all across the board. But yeah, quarters and halves are most exciting for us. That people really enjoyed it that much. They'll get that quantity.
It is a year-round thing, though. Like if this was something that you did for a month, they wouldn't sign on for it. So it's important for you to be able to. You have to have year-round supply to make that work.
Yeah, that was kind of always the tough part of how we wanted to handle this. We've lucked out and been able to make this work of guaranteeing them so much a week, and then we get rid of the burger and other steaks for our packaged meat business as well as food banks and so on.
But one of the challenges that comes up with that is, okay, my calving season is March 10 to April 20, if possible. So how can I come up with a year-round supply? But, you do things to accommodate.
Yeah, so I would love to just be once a year. It makes my life a lot simpler. But, yeah, we've made